what's going to happen in New Orleans? Lions-Saints, it's a huge game. Saints still have, playoff hopes because their division is so bad. So it's a big game for them as well. Also a big game for, Dennis Allen, their head coach. You could also argue it could be a audition for Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson, but Aaron Glenn because of the New Orleans ties. Yeah. The Saints right now are a 3.5-point underdog at home. I think the Lions are going to win the game, let's say 23-20. I think the Saints will cover, but the Lions will win a close game. I just don't trust the Lions to be able to blow teams out right now, especially because of their defense. Now, New Orleans offense shouldn't scare anyone right now. Their wide receivers are in shambles. We'll find out maybe more about Olave today. He had limited practice yesterday, still in concussion protocol, but Michael Thomas is out. They have another injury, one of their other wide receivers, whose name escapes me right now. This could be a Taysom Hill game. And it was kind of interesting, by the way. I was on a video podcast, I think it was our sister station in New Orleans, talking about the Saints. And one of the guys asked me, he goes, so what happened to the Jamal Williams that you had? Because he's done nothing for us this season. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is really, statistically, he's been really bad. And I said, I don't know, he got hurt for you, but, he was great here. Maybe you don't have anime or Pokemon down there. I have no idea because, that was his deal. He's such a great personality. And let's be honest. And if you're one of those people who were really pissed that the Lions let Jamal Williams walk, or he, whatever side you want to believe, turned down whatever the Lions, offered him. Yes. Because right now, Jamal Williams, he's averaging 2.9 yards a carry, no touchdowns. Now, he has missed 4 games.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah. That's part of the touchdowns, not the 3 yards a carry. People were upset about that, and it's worked. Wow, David Montgomery's not better than Jamal Williams. Oh, yeah? Really?
Well, I think we saw that. Which game was it where he broke the run for 75 yards? Was that the Chargers game?
Yes.
Jamal Williams doesn't make that run.
No.
He just doesn't. I'm sorry. Maybe he makes it a 30-yard run, but he doesn't go 75 yards.
Right.
I think it's clear the better running back is David Montgomery.
Yeah.
And some of his success last year, Jamal Williams' success, was situational. They were at the goal line a number of times, or inside the 10 a number of times. And he's really good, can be really good in that situation. He's a power running back.
No doubt about it. Now, if they didn't, draft Gibbs, could they have, or even get Montgomery, would they still be as good as they are right now with Jamal Williams? With that offensive line? I think they wouldn't be as good as they are with David Montgomery.
No, but if that didn't happen, I don't think they get rid of DeAndre Swift.
True.
And I don't remember the exact timeline.
Well, Swift was traded
after they signed Montgomery.
Right. It was I think around the draft, though, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was, so they already knew that they had their lead back.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Swift was not going to be the one that they wanted to rely upon because of injury concerns. And I mentioned at the time, I thought he was going to have a career year. He's had a pretty good year.
Yes, he has.
But Jamal Williams was, I don't think, ever really a part of the plan.
No. Jamal Williams' longest run this year has been 11 yards. Last year, his longest run was 58 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I think Williams was brought in with the concept and idea that Michael Brockers was brought here. But he performed.
Right.
You cannot dismiss what he did last year. I don't think, Stoney, you're trying to either. But we all saw it for what it was. He was never better than a number 2 in this league. I always thought he was a 2-3 tweener. And he had a career year last year.
Mm-hmm. Some of it was because of opportunity. They wanted that lead back to be DeAndre Swift.
But don't forget, if this thing really leads to a Super Bowl, the guys that came in here and established the foundation, he was part of that.
Right.
And that's why I made the Brockers comparison.
Right. Now, the first year he was here, Campbell's first year, he had 3 touchdowns and averaged, 3.9 yards a carry. So he didn't, but the team wasn't as good.
Right. What was his longest that year?
His longest that year was 20 yards.
Mm-hmm. He's a guy that is really good in a phone booth.
Mm-hmm.
He can power through some things, but he's not going to be the guy that's going to take it 75 yards. No. He's just not. He's going to get caught. He's going to get run out of bounds at some point.
I mean, the fact that he got over 1,000 yards, everybody was excited about. You know, he did play in all 17 games. He only started 9 of them, but he played a lot. I mean, he got a ton of carries, 262 carries. He was a really good football player. There's no doubt about it. Fans loved him. He was very personable. Mm-hmm. I think some of the leadership, the histrionics, I think that was somewhat exaggerated for television at times during Hard Knock. But
I don't think it was exaggerated.
A little bit. But anyway, that said, I'd love to hear from people who are like, you know what, the Lions were right.
Well, I mean,
people don't do that, Stoney.
I know.
They don't admit they're wrong.
No, they did. They did. We did this topic with Goff a few weeks ago, and people did call up and said, you know what, I was wrong.
I know. We had at least a couple early season calls even.
Yeah.
Into the regular season, they missed Jamal Williams.
Right, I know. I know. And in New Orleans, they're sitting there, what is this guy? And he's obviously their second back because they have Kamara.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was always going to be.
Yeah.
He was a stopgap early in the year when you knew Kamara was out with the suspension to just try to get you through. Didn't they win 2 of their first 3 games or something like that?
I don't remember. Jamal Williams basically was the Lions version of the tush push last year.
Yeah, they won their first 2. They beat the Titans and the Panthers.
I don't know if he was there now either. I mean, he may have gotten hurt. Didn't he get hurt early?
He's had missed. He only played 7 games. He's missed 4 games.
Against the Titans, he carried the ball 18 times for 45 yards. That was week 1. In week 2 against the Panthers, which I believe he was still there. No, he wasn't. Well, no, he was.
Yeah, that was his
9
last
carries for 29 yards.
And then he got hurt in that game because he didn't play again until October 19th.
Yeah.
The most yards he's had in a game since week 1 was 30 against the Colts.
And they went to Tony Jones Jr. that game. Who Tony Jones Jr. is from Notre Dame, right? Yeah. 3rd-year guy out of Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Stoney, nobody cares. They're not calling in.
I know.
They're not going to get it.
I know.
So have Jamal Williams confessional.
Well, I had that. And what's going to happen on Sunday?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen on Sunday, Gov?
Lions win by 10. They get everybody back on board. They're a good team that beats bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Packers are a little bit better than we thought or getting things right. But if their defense gives up some points and yards in this game, I'm going to be very concerned.
Yeah.
It's time for Aaron Glenn to show something.
Mm-hmm. I think they win. I think they win by a touchdown. I think it's 28-21, something like that. I mean, it could be – I think it's 28-21. I think, and that last touchdown that New Orleans scores is probably an inconsequential fourth quarter touchdown. So I think it's more of 28-14. The Lions have it in control, and at the end they luck into one.
So kind of like the road version of the Carolina game, maybe, where Carolina ended up with 24 points, but it was garbage.
It was, and it was in control the entire game. The Lions were.
Right. 248-539-9797. The last game they played when they lost to Atlanta, I don't believe they scored a touchdown. I think their kicker got 5 field goals, right?
Yeah, the 24-15 loss.
Yeah, and then they scored 19 points
against Minnesota.
It was probably a touchdown and a few field goals in that game too. Their offense is obviously not very explosive. Now Carr hasn't been healthy the complete time. But I've never been a big fan of his.
You didn't just jinx this, by the way, with this Williams thing.
Of course I did. You know he's going to score 3 touchdowns.
Two touchdowns, and Kamara has a Kamara game.
Well, I didn't say anything bad about Kamara. I'm not going to get caught on for that.
This could be Jamal Williams is an emotional player. This could be one where he does, or they give him the ball in a situation where he can score. If he scores 2 touchdowns and it's 28-14,
right?
Who cares?
If he scores 2 touchdowns and they're 2-yard runs, I mean, come on, anybody in the National Football League can do that.
Well, not anybody, but most teams could.
So
most players could.
Yes.
Patterson misses the game-winning field goal in a dome. It's like a 41-yarder. Lions get the ball first in OT. Goff throws a pick, puts the Saints into scoring position, and they decide to just not take a field goal right away and pound it in with Williams. I can't get it out of my system.
I know.
No, you can't.
You can't. And if that happens, Monday, will be
I won't be here.
awful.
Yes.
Monday would be awful.
By the way, that wide receiver that is questionable, Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah.